So today we'll be learning about Git. Okay. So anyone knows what is Git and has anyone used Git?
Yeah, Git is a shared repository where
Mm-hmm.
we learned the basics before we started DevOps.
Okay. Okay. So you're right. It is a shared repository, but the formal definition would be it is a version control system.
Mm,
Okay. So the word version control system is important.
yeah.
So let's think of a scenario where multiple people are working on a code. Okay, and if they want to share the code, what they will do, they will email it, or they will say keep it in this folder. Okay, so somebody suppose multiple people are working on a shared folder. Who made which changes, nobody will come to know. Okay, and it will also get overwritten. Any file or any code, it will get overwritten, and nobody knows among three people who has modified which part of the code. Okay, so this problem is solved by version control system, which what it does is it manages the file changes over time. So it maintains a version for each change. Okay. So we will see that how it maintains it. There are two types of version control system. One is centralized. The earlier ones like Subversion or CVS, some may be still using it, but it's almost obsolete now. Nowadays we use Git, which is a distributed version control system. So what is the difference between a centralized version control system and a distributed version control system? So in centralized version control system, suppose you have a central repository where everything is stored like files or code. So if you want to access it, you need to be online all the time. Okay, and it only works when you are connected. Okay, you can say in short that if only if you are connected to the internet, you will be able to access it if it is over the internet. Otherwise you won't be able to access it until and unless there is a proper connection to that centralized repository. But whereas what happens in the Git distributed version control system like Git, there will be a local copy. Okay, along with the working copy, means there will be a remote repository, centralized remote repository, where you will store the code, and you can copy that code to your local system as well. Okay, local system as well means where there also it will maintain the version along with the working copy. You will also have a local copy, and multiple people can have that local copy, and whenever they come online or whenever they want, they can push it to the remote repositories. That is, it is distributed everywhere. That's why it's called a distributed version control system, and it is not mandatory that you should always have internet connection or a network connection to the centralized remote repository. Why? Because a local repository or a local copy is always maintained. So this is the main difference between the centralized version control and the distributed version control system. And what is the advantage of version control system? We can track who created which file, when it was deleted, when it was modified, and every change is given a particular number, and it also logs an audited not an audit, but everything is logged. Okay, so later on we can check who made which changes, and we can also revert to that particular change. Okay, and one of the reason why it is very famous is it is created by Linus Torvald, who created our Linux kernel as well. And what is the main purpose for using version control system is it helps us in managing the source code efficiently. So what we can do with version control system, the team can code, we can track history. Okay, we can create multiple branches. What are the branches and all, we'll see. We can merge the code. It can also act as a backup for file or a code. Okay, and we can give that code for review. Okay, we can reproduce it, we can copy it and reproduce it, and also useful for various integrated development, and plays a very crucial role in DevOps. So why Git? Okay, it is a version control system which helps us in tracking the changes for files or code. Okay, we can achieve collaboration within the team. Okay, for some R&D or experimentation purpose we can use it, and we can reproduce. Means it ensures reproducing uh, reproducibility by keeping a history of the changes. Okay, so we can suppose I wanted to check why it failed yesterday, or why it was working fine yesterday and not working today. We can uh, check out means I will come to know that we'll check out that particular version, and we can reproduce this issue. It will act as a backup system, also used for audit and trial, and multiple people can concurrently work on it. Okay, which is not possible properly if you have a shared drive. Okay, and it works very well in distributed environment as well. So these are some advantages of Git. So how Git works, that is important. So what it does is it creates a snapshot of the files and changes. Snapshot means we all are from the I mean, virtualization. We have worked on virtualization. There we create a snapshot of the VM, right? Similarly, the snapshot of the files and the changes are taken. Okay, and some metadata is maintained, so it becomes easy to go to a particular history or particular change with and it also maintains SHA-1 hash algorithm. Using SHA-1, it maintains the data integrity as well. So the main thing is it creates a snapshot of the files and changes, and the data integrity is maintained using SHA-1 algorithm. So just now we saw that Git is a distributed version control system. So suppose this is a remote repository, it is stored somewhere on the internet. Okay, so when we work on it, okay, how we work on it, we'll copy that remote repository to our local repository. Okay, and when we make some changes in the local repository which we want to push it to this remote repository, so what we will do is whenever we make some changes, it will be added in a particular staging area. It is neither on the remote repository nor on our local repository. It is a virtual area where that particular commit or particular data is written, and when we write this command git commit and git push, then only it is passed to the remote repository. Okay, so all these commands we will be seeing, but the most important thing is we maintain a staging area, okay, where it virtually keeps the data for the first time. When we do git add, and then it will be stored in a particular staging virtual area. Then from there, when we do git commit and git push, it will be sent to a remote. So everything will be clear when we do some exercises. So some of the commands which we'll be learning is git initialize, git clone, git add, okay, commit, pull, push, branch, and merge. So as a beginner, these commands are sufficient. So what each command does, it's written here. So with git init will initialize a git repository. Suppose we want to copy a remote repository to our local system, then we'll use git clone command. And just now I explained a staging area. Okay, so staging area means when we do git add, okay, stage changes for commit, it will be stored in a virtual staging area. And suppose we want to pull something from the remote repository, then we will use git pull command. And if you want some changes after git add and git commit, if you want to send some data to the remote repository, we'll be using git push. We can also create some branches, and we can list, create, or delete branches using git branch and some other commands. And when we have multiple branches, if you want to merge them, we'll be using git merge command. So all these commands we will be learning today. So some of the best practices, this is very important. Okay, suppose you are working on a code which is stored on the remote repository. So what we will do is we'll copy it on our local repository or local working directory. We'll make the changes, and what we do is we, after changes are done, okay, we'll push it to the remote repository. But we should do that very often. Often means, suppose I've done a major change, then don't wait for the whole day that I'll push everything at the end of the day. Like, I'm working on a very large file or Excel sheet, and I'm not pressing Control S, right? And something happens and we forgot to press Control S, and everything is vanished, okay, due to some reason. Similarly, if you do not commit often, everything will be lost. So always have an habit of committing often. What is committing will be seeing soon. And while we commit, we'll send some comments in that message, git commit -m. So there we should add some meaningful message that what changes we have done. Okay. And for work and whenever we work on any code or any programming application, so then we should have separate branches. Separate branches mean we should have a main branch where the whole main code, that is the production ready code, would be stored. And if you are doing some development, then there should be a development branch. After we find some bugs, okay, there should be a separate bug fringe branch. And if you are adding a new feature, then we should have a new feature branch. So separate branches is also important. And suppose multiple people are working on a centralized repository, then they will be continuously pushing their changes, but our local repository will not have those changes. So always pull whenever you clone the repository on which multiple people are working. Just pull before we push. Okay, before we make any changes to the remote repository, we should take the changes which are made by other people as well. This is very important, otherwise there will be many merge conflicts. Always do git pull before we push. Okay, and there is a possibility of code review. Okay, so this is done collaboratively. A senior developer or a senior DevOps engineer or an architect should always review the code before it is committed in the main branch. It improves the collaboration and improves the code quality as well. So these are some git best practices. So I know you all will be having some questions. So I'll take these questions, those two questions, after our exercises. Okay, because whatever I have said, it will get more clear when we do some exercises. So the link for today is this one. I'll also copy it in the chat. Git. So, we first exercise is GitHub. Okay, I'll explain a bit. So GitHub is one of the famous public Git repository which is available in the market, and the other one is GitLab. Okay, and one is Bitbucket. Okay, so whatever commands and whatever we are doing, if we learn for GitHub, it is almost same for all others, only the GUI will differ, but the commands will remain same. They are here also will call project or repository. Okay, so here we call repository, here we call project. So whatever as just code commit. So there are Git version control system on the public cloud as well, like GCP, Azure, and AWS. And some of the SaaS based cloud ones are GitLab, Bitbucket, and GitHub. In this course, we'll be covering GitHub and sometimes GitLab as well. But today, let's learn GitHub. So if you all have an account, ignore this step. Otherwise, log into github.com. I'll open it in an incognito window. I already have it. Github.com and create an account. Okay, just click on sign up. Okay, and enter your email. Okay, whatever email you have, just enter it. I already have the account, but I'm showing it. Just create a password and click on continue. So it's very easy. Just create a new account in a GitHub. When it is done, you will have an account like this. So we'll enable this later. Okay. So this is your username. When you log in, at the top right hand bottom, you'll see in this profile section, this is your username. So if I click on this GitHub icon, okay, I can also see my username. Okay, so I just want everyone's this link, your profile link, and this will be your username. My username is this one. So everyone, what you do is after your repository is created, just paste it in the chat like this. Sandeep already has, I think. So okay, Suraj is also done. But I think Suresh, your username is quite big. We'll have to type it again and again.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, you already have an account, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is the existing one. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So here it is given how to create an account. So let's first create an account, then we'll continue with the exercise. So Padmanand, Siva and Satish, hope you are not facing any issue.
Yeah, just creating, but the
Creating.
password does not accept it.
Okay, fine. Yeah, we'll wait.
Uh,
Where we can get the project.
Which project? We have to just create a repository. Other things we'll do later, exercise.
Okay.
So if repository is done, just paste it in the chat. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
So Satish is also done. Padmanir. So Siva, you have also done.
Yeah, I'm also done.
Okay, fine. So next, what we'll do is, so as what we have to do is now we have when we log in. Okay, after login, we'll get a dashboard like this. Okay, and there are various methods to create a repository. So where a remote repository, what we are going to create now. One of the method is we can click here new. The other method is here also we can click new repository, and here we can say new repository. So I'll click here, and we have to create a new repository as per this exercise, and that is html hyphen app1. Okay, so what I'll do is html hyphen app1. Okay, so for me the repository already exists. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just delete it. So everyone just follow the same naming convention. It is important because the next steps are dependent on the same name. So I already have this repository, so you'll see how I delete it. You'll also learn that sometimes we'll have to delete the repository. Go to GitHub icon. Okay, find here the repository html app1 and go to settings, and at the bottom there will be a option called delete this repository, and it will ask you to means copy paste this name to confirm. Okay, and I have deleted this repository. It will also ask the credential. Okay, so I'll create a new repository html app1. So what is the description we have given? My html app. Okay. Here we can create public and private. What is the difference? I'll let you know. So now we are creating a public repository, so everyone can access it. Okay, without any authentication, they can read it. And in this exercise, we'll be clicking on add a readme file. This is important. Okay, so sometimes we want that some file should not be added. We can add a git ignore file. Okay, for there are some templates. We'll see that later. As of now, keep it as none. License also, there are various license possible, but we'll here also we'll keep it as none. So what we are doing is we are creating a html app1, giving it a description. We are creating a public repository, adding a readme file, and just click on create repository. So when the repository is created and when you click on the readme file, it will show like this. You have a, so it will give the contents of the name of the repository and this description in a readme file. Now if you go to here code, okay, so there are three methods to means access that repository. means copy that repository to your local system. One method is HTTPS, other one is SSH, and the third one is GitHub CLI. For that we have to install GH command. So in this exercise we are seeing about only HTTPS. Okay, so just copy this code, means URL. I have copied it. Okay, and open your terminal.
I cannot create the HTML.
What is the error you are getting?
Not getting any error, but it doesn't create.
Okay, just
We
let
already have a project repository elsewhere.
we do not need project repository. We just need a simple repository. You just share your screen.
Okay.
You're not logged in, I
One.
guess.
This one.
We are saying reset your password.
Where?
We see a screen. Your screen shared only one screen, and it says reset your password.
Oh, okay. 1 minute. Don't understand. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, yeah. Just go down, click on create.
Something.
Just refresh that page and try again.
Public right. So readme file.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. Now I'll share my screen. Okay, so what you all do is just copy this repository where it is here. Just click on code, okay, and copy this repository, copy URL. Sometimes it is also the same this one, and I'll create a directory GitHub. It is not mandatory, but it's better to create any directory. In that directory, what I'll do is I'll just clone it. Clone means just copy it. Okay.
Just copy the URL, is it?
Yes, copy the URL, write git clone and press enter. It will start cloning that repository. Whatever the contents in the remote repository, it is also available now on your repository. So it is the same repository name. Go to cd html app, do ls, will have a readme file. So this is our local repository, and remote repository is already in the github.com. So next what we have to do is we have to create a new file.
Show me that how to that Linux side to make a directory, is it?
Yeah, you can create any directory, and inside the directory just clone it. Okay. So don't follow the next instruction. I'll show it on the screen. I'm skipping this section, and I'm directly going to I've cloned it here. Okay, mkdir github, then I have cloned it. Now what I'll do is I'll create a new file called index.html. Cat index.html, and I'll write here my HTML app, and I'll just save it. So next what we are doing is inside that HTML app1 repository, we have created my HTML app. Okay, if I do ls, I can see two files, index.html and readme.md. Now if you go to this github.com, and if you do refresh, okay, we cannot see index.html file here. Okay, even though we have cloned it and we have added the contents in our local copy, not remotely. So we'll have to push this content, okay, to remote repository from our local repository, then only it will be available here. Okay, so for that there are few commands which we need to pass on. So these are, okay, so this is the first command would be git add. Should add dot means everything which is in the current directory. Okay,
I have issue. Sorry.
yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I share my
So
screen.
what you do is just follow the exercise, let me complete, then you come up with the
Okay.
question. Everything is properly written in the document. Okay,
All right.
it will break the flow, others will get confused. Okay,
Okay.
so what I have done is I've created a file index.html and I have done git add. Now the next command which we should run is git commit. Okay, and we should give a meaningful message that we have added a code. Okay, okay, so for the first time when we create a git clone a remote repository, okay, we'll have to provide our username and email address. Okay, so for the first time only once we'll have to do this, only once when we are creating a repository, otherwise it will give this error. And for cloning the next repository it will not ask for it. So we are just giving our details here. So this is stored globally on this system. So whenever we clone it on a new system, again we'll have to do this. So I'm just giving a short name. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll again do git add, then I'll do git commit. Okay, so what I did, git add, and then I did git commit. Just see git logs. Okay, so what it is saying is initial commit was done, then I added a code. So initial commit was done when the readme file was created, and now I did a git add and git commit. Just see the repository again, just try to refresh it. Still it is not there, but it is in a staging area. When I did git add and git commit, it is added in a staging area, it is virtually. Okay, so when I do now git push, it should push it to this remote repository. Okay, but it is asking for the credentials. Okay, why it is asking for credential? We can clone anyone's repository, but we cannot add anything in their repository. We need permission for that, and it is our own repository, but we are using it from some third system. Okay, it doesn't know why you have cloned and why you are pushing the code in someone else repository. So here we'll have to provide our username. Okay, or we can also provide the email address. Okay, but after this we cannot add our GitHub credentials. GitHub credential it will not take, earlier it used to, but now we'll have to create a personal access token. Okay, this is created only once. So for that, click on your profile, go to settings, then go to developer settings. This is all, this thing is given in the document, and then go to personal access token and click on tokens. We don't need this beta one, we just click on token classic. Okay, and just generate a new token. Again, don't choose the beta one, just choose the classic. Okay, give any name to it, my token. Okay, expiration you can set it as no expiration, and just click on everything, click everything, because we are the owner. Will select everything. In production environment, based on the requirement, you can choose any of the options. Means this is kind of a role we are providing to that token, that what this token can do. We are saying that do everything. Okay, and just click on generate token. I already have many tokens. Okay, so I'm not clicking on generate token. When you click on generate token, it will okay, no problem, I'll delete it. When I click on generate token, okay, my token number 2 name is already there. Then I'll click on generate token. When I click on generate token, this token will be displayed on the screen, but only for the first time. After this, when you refresh the page, it will vanish. So what you do is just copy it in the notepad, save the notepad, or email it to yourself. So even I do the same thing. I just email it to myself, GitHub token. Okay, I'll email it. If I see I have some token, okay, but what I'll do is I'll just keep it in the notepad and save it as GitHub token. So tomorrow also, if you do the exercise, we'll have it. I'm saving it on my desktop. So the token is saved, okay, and this we will use as a password. It will not show on the screen. I've entered the token, and now it has pushed the content to the remote repository. So the if I do git log now, so it is saying that it has added the code. And if I do git status, your branch is up to date with origin main, okay, nothing to commit, working tree clean. That means the remote branch, that is remote branch, not branch, repository, this remote repository, let's click on this one, HTML app1. This is our repository. This, it is now having index.html, which we added now. So the remote repository and our current repository both are having the same content. So that's why it is saying your branch is up to date with origin main. So origin main means this is the original one, okay, this is one. So it is up to date with our local copy. So what, any directory will not be called as a local copy. If I do ls-al with a, we can list al, we can list the hidden files. So if you see, there is a .git. So when we cloned it, a .git directory was created, and with this .git directory, it becomes a proper repository, local copy of that repository. If I remove this .git, the commands will not work. Again, I'll have to clone it. Okay. So the main three commands are git add. So sometimes I do like this: git add, git commit. Git add means add whatever we have in the current directory, then give a meaningful message that we have updated a code or removed code or added a feature, and then do git push. So all three commands I can run with using on a single line. Okay, so there is a spelling mistake, and again it will ask for our credentials, but everything is clean. I won't pass it on. So now you come up with your questions. That's it for today, and this is the exercise, the first one which we are doing. Create a GitHub repository, and we haven't seen that what is this, index.html. This is